Hey everybody, it's Ronnie with Daybreak Star Radio, and I'm just beyond excited to bring you guys an amazing interview. Sitting here with me right now is an amazing musician, just all general artist, comic book storyteller, just an amazing person altogether.
Oh,
Arigon Starr, thank you so much for sitting with us today.
you're
Really appreciate
welcome.
it.
It's my pleasure.
So first, if you could tell our audience a little bit about you, like who you are, what great nation you hail from, and all of that.
Absolutely. I'm tribally enrolled in the Kickapoo tribe of Oklahoma, and I had spent my growing up years. My mother was, I must digress, my mother enrolled Muskogee Creek, but also Cherokee and Seneca. So I've got four nations winding around. And one of the Kickapoo's kind of like MOs of life is we move, we're always packed, and we're ready to go. And this helped because my dad was in the Navy. So I've lived everywhere. I've lived everywhere from coast to coast. And being that it was just it was me, my sister, my mom, and my dad, stationed in Pensacola, Florida, stationed in New Jersey, Maryland, Tennessee, Gallup, New Mexico, San Diego, California, and over to the Philippines and then back. So I truly have lived a life even before, high school. I was like, wow, yeah, all right. But as far as the native, it was the family. It was the hardcore family that lived in Oklahoma, and it was many, many road trips, car trips back and forth from wherever Dad was stationed to be with kinfolk.
From stage performances to graphic novels, your storytelling spans multiple mediums.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite when it comes to those mediums, and do they allow you to express yourself in different ways?
Yes, because ultimately, and I think most artists will tell you this, we're introverts. I'd rather stay home. I would rather not have to travel the world and do what I do. However, there's another part of me that loves being on stage and loves talking to people and talking about different ideas and also performing. I mean, to be able to put on a different character or tell a different story in a different way, and then playing guitar versus playing piano or singing in different voices. I don't know if you know about Red Road. That was one where I had like 10 different characters. It was a one person show. And so I played all of the characters, including a Navajo fry cook and a disgruntled native activist guy and a truck driver and a British punk rocker and a bingo obsessed elder and a country singer and a kid and another kid and then the lady that owned the cafe. And that was a hoot and holler. And some of the characters sang in character, like the punk rocker. And if you can find it, it's on the Red Road. It's called Indian Eyes. Now I love punk rock. I love me some punk rock. So the song is by Danny Dacron is the name of the character, and he comes into the cafe saying, "I love beer. I just love Indian people. I just love them so much." And he starts singing this punk rock song called "I Want to See America Through Indian Eyes, Indian Eyes. I want to sneer and stare at you through Indian eyes." You just go, and it sounds like something like the New York Dolls would have done. It's just all buzz, and it's like 2 minutes long. It's like an awesome track. And it's something that I had always wanted to do, but I didn't have the instrumentation when I was really into punk rock, and then as the CDs came along. But what was fun about Red Road was using all of these cats, these Nashville cats and these LA cats that usually played with Dwight Yoakam and all these other famous people, Dolly Parton, Shania Twain. And I was like, "Can you guys do punk rock?" And they're like, "Oh yes!" It was so cool. It was so cool, And just saying to them, it's like this play is set in the 1970s, so it has to kind of have that, Dolly, Loretta, that kind of vibe to it, and just name checking all these old artists, Johnny Paycheck and anyway, Charlie Pride. That's who I was thinking of, Charlie Pride. But yeah, just being able to do music like that and to still talking about Indian stuff is like, yes. I would not trade a thing for this. This is so awesome. It's so awesome.
That I can completely understand that too. so many levels. Thank you. So you've broken barriers in multiple industries where Indigenous representation is often overlooked. Can you tell us like some of the challenges you've had to face in these creative spaces and how you've navigated past them?
Yeah, I was thinking when you were talking about the path to the comic books, that was really difficult because of the fact that I was a woman. They almost didn't even think about a Native person. It was all like, oh, I got so many times when I would show my portfolio or even show the first book, oh, did you draw that? Like it was like not possible for a woman to do these things. And it was like, oh my gosh, just having that voice out there. And then I hate to say this, some of the other Native comic book creators like from back in the day just were really not nice. I mean, just really not nice about it. And I don't know if it was just feeling threatened. I'm going to say it was probably just feeling threatened because it's like, well, I put 2 books out in the 90s and I'm a superstar. It's like, well, really? You know who you are. So it's just, and continuing to tell stories in that way, but it was really difficult. And a lot of people didn't understand the Native stuff at all. And even in the music, they didn't understand the Native stuff. I remember getting that music is just too Native. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. And then other, Native people say, well, that's not Native enough for me, And it's like, what is supposed to be, squee, ooh, the flute. That's what people want. And I just never wanted to dumb it down. I never wanted to pander. And sometimes that's what you got to do. But I didn't want to go there. I just didn't. And I don't think that I ever will because I really dislike that. I don't want to show that as a way to go.
As an artist, a writer, a musician, actor, everything under the creative sun, you've worn so many creative hats. How do you manage all of that kind of creative energy across all these different projects?
Ooh, I get a bug in my ear about stories. I'll hear something really cool and go, oh, that would be a good play. That would be a good song. Or I want to make this kind of a sound, or I want this image. My days are full. And that's the way I like it. I like it like that. I always tell people I'm never bored. There's never a dull moment. And there's always like, okay, well, what are we doing next? And where do you want to go? And like with Super Indian, I decided that, I've told the origin story through the radio. And in fact, I had to reach back into my own archive to like find my script for the origin story because I'd already written it and I'd forgotten that it was completely fleshed out. For Native Voices at the Autry, it was an hour-long episode. And it talked about how the commodity cheese was made and developed. And I thought, okay, everybody always asks, what book should I get first? I'll start with volume 1. I'm like, well, you can. But to me, I'm like, the artwork's not as good as on 3. You should get there. You don't have to start in any order in these books. You can jump in. But I said, okay, people deserve the origin story. So that's what's next on the plate. So now knowing that, I know that when, I am finished here in Seattle, I'll go back home and start writing and continue to write the script because the words come first and then the images and then everything else. So, yeah, so that's how I keep it going.
For Indigenous youth that want to become storytellers or artists or musicians or any of the plethora of things you've decided to wear under your hat, what advice would you give them going forward?
I would advise them to listen, to be places, to go places, go with your parents. I know it's not cool, but go with them and go sit by the old people. Just inkle over there and just listen. I learned so much just when my mother and her her 2 sisters would sit around the kitchen table, and I just used to sit there and like, oh, I don't know who they're talking about, but just the banter back and forth and just the relatives and this. I was like, what, they did what? They who? Oh, and they think the kids aren't listening, but oh yes, we're listening. And I think that's important too when you meet, like I would have loved to have met Bernie White Bear and just It's like, I'm just going to sit here and listen. That's all I'm going to do. And then take that and interpret and tell the stories from that. Or even if you get excited by a book, another, something, newspaper article, something, oh, I saw a TikTok about, there you go. Start there. But it really...
Listen, definitely, that's good advice because...